Another issue that is not one that the federal government has all that active a role in, although it certainly does have a role in, is housing. And a lot of people in Maine right now simply cannot afford a house. They can't buy their first house, they can't move up. A lot of places are just too pricey. Jason Cherry, again, asking for specifics. What, if anything, can the federal government do to address the housing crunch?
I think the federal government can come up with a template for regulations because there's a number of state regulations I've heard from builders where there's just so many regulations to the point that they either get out of the business or it holds up construction. So we need to make sure that we have rational, reasonable, fact-supported regulations that protect the consumer, but also allow for businesses to grow. So we're missing somewhere from 85 to 89,000 houses.
All right, Angus King, housing.
The first thing I want to do is quote my friend, my old friend Laurie LaChance, who once said, "There's not a silver bullet, but there may be silver buckshot." And what I mean by that is there's no single solution. There are a lot of things we have to work on. I agree. Regulations, outdated building codes are adding to the cost and zoning codes are adding to the cost of housing. But we also need to talk about the underlying costs of building a house. We need to be thinking more creatively about how to build a house more cheaply. There's a company in Oxford that is building houses in panels. They're being shipped to the site, saving a lot of time and a lot of money. The University of Maine even 3D printed a house. And we're going to be having to think about that. Finally, I'm involved, as I said, silver buckshot, in something like 12 different bills to incentivize renovations, new housing, particularly in rural areas. There's all kinds of solutions, but we have to concentrate on many at once.
Demi Kazunis.
Yeah, it's a huge problem. Housing costs are up 40% from pre-COVID. And we have people that want to buy homes. We had a lot of out-of-staters come up to Maine and wanted a home. And of course, we have also undocumented that are coming in and taking up some of the housing. I agree, regulations are difficult. I went to, and I don't know if it was the same place you went to, Senator, but I went to KBS Homes, sure, which they build homes for $50,000. Here's the problem. The $50,000, you have to put the slab, and then of course you connect that modular home to the electrical and the sewer system. You have to be licensed to do that. But if you had a piece of property and you said, you know what, I'm going to try to build myself a home, but I'm not licensed to do so, you can. So we have too much regulation that prevents things to move along, and we need to look at that.
I'm going to let that be the last word. David Costello, you can wrap us up on this topic.
A couple of things. I mean, the federal government, again, has tax credits. They have affordable tax credits, historic tax credits. We can certainly, as I said, support Senator Warnock and Senator Warren's bill, the Housing Mobility Act, which would provide a lot more resources for a variety of federal programs. I certainly agree with the senator and Jason and actually Debbie as it relates to regulation, but much of that is at the local level. But the federal government can provide incentives to local jurisdictions as well to have the adequate zoning, so you've got the sort of the infill development that you want in Maine. And certainly as it relates to manufacturing and job training for people who build houses, the trades, putting more money there as well. All of that can be very helpful.